Langley, British Columbia, where we'll find Edith Loring-Kuhanga. She's normally in Lytton, BC, where she's a teacher and administrator at a local school. When Lytton was destroyed by the wildfire this week, Edith escaped unharmed but lost almost everything she had. Edith, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you, Natasha, for having me.
Edith, before we get into what happened earlier in the week, how are you doing right now and where are you staying in Langley?
So I'm doing okay. We're managing, we're supporting one another the best we can. We're staying at the Sandman in Langley.
And is it just you or is it you and your family?
No, just me personally, but I have 11 other community members that I'm kind of supporting. A couple elders, one that's in a walker, a young family. And so there was a group that they didn't have transportation, so we managed to get transportation for them. And so I'm supporting them here at the hotel.
Okay. And I know that some of this might be painful, but let's go back to earlier in the week and let's talk about when that fire first really exploded in Lytton. Where were you? How did you find out about the evacuation order?
Well, I was actually in my house, which is it's a teacher unit that our school, Stein Valley McCluckman School, actually owns, right down on Fraser Street. So the fire actually happened on the other end of Fraser Street. I'm located sort of towards the other end of the Fraser Street. And I was there conducting an interview with two of our board members via Zoom. We were interviewing a special education teacher at the time. And that was at 4:15 that the interview started. By 4:30, the siren went off, and one of our board members, who's also a council member, Nakaya Hanna, had contacted me and phoned me and said, "Edith, where are you?" And I told him I was at Fraser Street, and he said, "You got to get out of there," and then told me what was happening. And I said, "Well, I looked out. I saw a little fire. I didn't think it was going to be anything great." And he said, no, you got to pack up and get out of there. You don't have a lot of time, so just take whatever you can and get out of there. And we want you to go up to the school, and we're going to direct everyone up there. So we want you to set up a muster station at the school, because the school is actually located about 6 to 8 kilometers up the highway on Highway 12. And so they were directing everybody from downtown Lytton to evacuate out to the school. And so that's where they wanted me to set up a muster station.
Forgive me, what is a muster station?
It's an emergency place where everybody can go and gather.
Okay. And when he said, grab what you can and go, what did you take with you?
Well, I had a small suitcase that was packed because I was going to Victoria for a couple of days that night. So I had that packed sitting by the door, and I just threw my laptop in my briefcase, grabbed the laptop in my suitcase, ran out the door, and then I realized I didn't have my purse. So I ran back in to get my purse, and when I came out and opened up the door and went to step on the stairs, that's when the explosion happened. It was a huge explosion, and then it was like a horror movie. It was all of a sudden everything went dark and gloomy, and there was debris flying all over the place and everything. So it was really like traumatic, like it was just unbelievable. And people were running all over the place and saying, "Get out, get out, get out." And so I quickly got into my vehicle, and so many people were calling me and asking me if I was okay, and are you getting up there? Are you setting up the muster station? And so then I just drove up to the muster station, up to the school, started setting up. A couple of people showed up. I got them going. We started arranging everything. And then Nakaya contacted me again and said, "Edith, there are a lot of people downtown. We need to get them evacuated. They don't have transportation. We need to get them up to the school." So I contacted our bus supervisor and had her arrange for one of our bus drivers that lived close by to the school to come and pick up one of the school buses. That was Donnie Glasgow. And he came down, picked up the bus, went downtown to Lytton, picked up everybody that he could, came back up, And that's when he realized that somebody had notified him and told him that his house may be in danger. He left the bus, dropped everybody off, left the bus and ran home because his wife was at home, and to make sure that she was okay. And everything was just happening so fast, like, you know, and so as we were setting up the muster station, and people were arriving, we're getting them watered, you know, just trying to get it set up. I asked somebody, one of the language teachers, to come and help me in the home ec room. We started putting sandwiches together, and then all of a sudden Nakai came back in and he was like, Edith, we're being evacuated again. It's not safe here. We got to move on, and we're going to take everybody to Littlewit. And I was like, what? You know, we're just getting everybody organized and stuff. And he said, and then by then the power went out. Just as he was telling me that, the power went out at the school, and we still have water. And so the power went out, and he said to me, can you get on your cell phone? And I said, no, it's not working. We had no coverage. And so he said, well, is there an emergency phone in the school? And I said, yes. So he went up to try the emergency phone in the school. That wasn't working. He came back down and he said, we got to leave. We got to get everybody out of here. It's just that by then a lot of people had already been at the school. Everybody wanted gas. There were a lot of people that didn't have gas at Littlewit. We do have a small gas station at our school, and but once the power got shut, we couldn't give anybody gas.
Edith, let me jump in. I'm so sorry, but let me jump in for 1 second, because you're managing so much stuff logistically. You said you saw an explosion and the sky goes dark and people are streaming to the school and you're setting up the station. So you're thinking logically, you're getting stuff accomplished and you're trying to keep on top of things. But I'm wondering, were you afraid? Were you scared? Emotionally, what were you dealing with?
I didn't even have time to think about that. It was just about like getting things done.
Wow. Okay.
Because there were so many people that, you know, needed support. You know, I can just, you know, thank our deputy chief, John Hogan, and of our band of Lytton First Nation, and Nakaya Hanna, who's elected councillor for the band as well. Those two people, they got into such action. They're the ones that really helped get everybody out of downtown Lytton up to the school, and then made a decision that they wanted us to get out of the school, because the fire by then had jumped underneath the bridge, had come across, was going up the Alpine, and they were concerned that we're going to get locked in, and so. Because they're the ones that were making the decision. I was only following their orders, and thank goodness that they were there, because otherwise I'm sure that we would have lost many, many more lives than we did.
Well, I mean, even your actions, I know you're being very humble, but sound pretty heroic. Let me ask you, now that a few days have passed, now that you're away from the fire and you're reflecting on it, how are you feeling now?
You know, like, I'm okay, but I get emotional when I think about it.
It's okay.
It just doesn't seem real. But, you know, there were just so many things that had to be done. And, you know, so you do them.
It's okay. I'm, you know, anybody watching, anyone listening feels for you. It's a scary thing you're living through, and you have lived through it. You've survived. And you said you're acting as, in many ways, a guardian for a whole lot of people. How is your community dealing with this? And when can you all go back? Do you have any sense of when you can go back to Lytton, see what's there?
Well, when the last meetings that I participated in yesterday, they were saying that there was, it was just too dangerous, right? There was too many hydro lines that were down, and there was hydro lines that were hanging and still on fire, and lots of debris all over the road and everything. And they were saying it was far too dangerous to get anybody in there. A lot of us were concerned about our school, because that kind of, we some of us were like, okay, we can kind of rebuild everything around our school, and as long as our kids still have a place. Um, and so then we had heard that all of that whole area was wiped out as well. But then the Kaya went in there yesterday. He was able to get in there fairly, not right up, but close enough that he could get some photos taken, and then sent them out to us. And so that was 2 Mile, 3 Mile, and 9 Mile, which are the three reserves around the school, and St. George's Road. And those all areas, as of around 4 o'clock yesterday, were still standing. So we're hoping and praying that that it isn't impacted. But we're scattered all over, and I think that's what's making this really difficult. Like, we're in different hotels all over the place, where some of our people are in Merritt, some of our people are in a couple of the other reserves, neighboring reserves. Some are in Kamloops, some are in Langley, some are in Surrey. So we're kind of scattered all over, and we're trying to figure out like how to kind of coordinate ourselves so we can kind of support each other, because some of our community members have a lot of mental health and addiction issues. Some of them have some addiction issues, so trying to get support for them. So last night I was able to get in touch with First Nations Health Authority. They were able to bring in some nurses for us and some counseling support, because we're kind of all over the place, and people are going through anxiety and fear and frustration, devastation. And so I just wanted to make sure that there was support available. So now we've got that in place, and we're just trying to make sure that everybody knows that, that we're here to support them. And if there's anything they need, we will work with them to making sure that we stand up together.